Welcome to the Neuropathy Support Group and Podcast. I'm Chris, and I'm so glad you tuned in. It's my hope with this podcast to help all of us gather information that might help those that need support dealing with this debilitating issue. Hello, and welcome to this podcast. Before we get started, let's get the formalities out of the way with the medical and privacy disclaimer. I am not a doctor or medical professional. The information on this podcast is from personal experiences and is meant for group support. Additionally, the information discussed is not meant to diagnose, treat, or cure any underlying conditions associated with neuropathy. All names here within are private and will not be shared with any outside sources. Please consult your healthcare provider before making any health decisions. If you have medical concerns or an immediate emergency, please contact your doctor or dial 911. Well, how's everyone doing out there? I hope you had a great week and a weekend and had time with your family, grandkids. If you have some, just an update on my medication. The pharmacist came through for me. She found me the medication I needed for my pain. I did start going through withdrawals for a while there. My right leg was completely numb, like I was getting Charlie horses hit me time after time. I barely could make it out of bed, but I do have my medications, and that's all the stress and anxiety goes away at that point. I hate that so much. So the topic today is going to be very controversial, but I see a lot of people that wants to know and wants to talk about it. Now, I've talked about this before some time back in one of my earlier episodes, and like I said, this can be really tough to deal with and to talk about. So I just want you guys to be warned about that before we get started here. But a lot of people want to know, for those that deal with neuropathy, how long of a life do you have to live? Is there a time when you're expected that you might die, or because of the nerve pain and those kind of issues? And, like I said, it's very, very, very important that you know that these are just facts that I got off the internet. None of them are to me, I hope, when I read these, that they're not saying, yes, this is going to happen and agree with everything, because I really think there's a fine line between other issues that you may have with your body besides, just the neuropathy, that this may be a concern. Remember, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving you any medical advice at all. I'm just going to give you a heads up of what the internet says about this, and you're going to see that there's going to be different answers to what we expect. So I don't believe you're going to get a whole view of, how long of a life you have. The best thing for you to do is talk to your doctor. Hopefully he knows, or find the information for yourself. But I did find some information that was more up to date than some of the other websites I found. So let's get started. So this first article is on the 5 stages of peripheral neuropathy. Now, I've heard about 4 stages. Now we have 5 here. So let's go ahead and read what all this is about. It's going to give you an introduction to what peripheral neuropathy is, of course. Peripheral neuropathy is a condition that stems from damage to the nervous system. Neuropathy affects more than 20 million Americans every year, yet many people are reluctant to seek treatment. This condition can be difficult to pinpoint because it can be anywhere in the body. But there are several common symptoms that are characteristic of neuropathy. The most common symptoms are extreme pain in the hands and feet, along with feeling weakness and the sensation of pins and needles. Neuropathy does become worse over time if left untreated. And there are several stages of this condition, each one becoming worse if left untreated. So here's the 5 stages. Stage 1, numbness and pain. In the beginning stages of neuropathy, you will experience some pain and numbness. These symptoms won't be persistent, but you will notice them coming on and going. These first symptoms of pain and numbness may be subtle, but you will recognize that they are there. For example, you may notice some light tingling or numbness in your hands and feet, but it eventually goes away. Another early sign of neuropathy may be that you notice your balance and reflexes are a little out of tune compared to what they normally are. Oftentimes, the first symptoms recur every few weeks and grow to become more consistent. It is common for people to ignore the first signs of neuropathy because they are so subtle. Stage 2. Regular and persistent symptoms. The second stage of peripheral neuropathy occurs when your pain and numbness becomes more regular and consistent. It is difficult to pinpoint exactly when a patient's neuropathy progresses into the second stage, but it will become obvious when pain and numbness is felt more often than in the past. In the second stage, it becomes more difficult to ignore the pains, numbness, and other symptoms that are present. This is the stage in which many people recognize that something may be wrong and seek help from a doctor. In most cases, if neuropathy is caught and treated by the second stage, the chances of curing the nerve damage is high. But if left untreated past the second stage, nerve damage is often permanent. And I've heard that to be true too. Stage 3, debilitating pain. In the third stage, your pain is occurring daily and almost every day. In this stage, the pain begins to affect your daily activities and prevents you from going about your day as you would normally. At this point, you may realize that over-the-counter pain medications are not working anymore, and you can't find a way to alleviate your pain. This is because in the third stage of neuropathy, you are likely experiencing other pains and symptoms of nerve damage. In the third stage, there is still a chance that some of the nerve damage can be reversed, but in many cases, it may be permanent. And that's, at the third stage, that's when I started noticing it more, and I was taking so much ibuprofen and Tylenol that I had to keep adding another pill and another pill. I was taking a lot. And that was the only thing I could get my pain away. Or I was soaking in the, before I went to bed, I soaked in the bathtub to really hot water so I could get my legs to just calm down from the restless leg syndrome. But yeah, I can understand this. I understand and I remember when these stages start coming on me and were really hurting. Nobody really knew what to do at that time. Here's stage 4, constant numbness. In the fourth stage of neuropathy, your legs and feet will become very numb. This is due to the lack of healthy nerves that are able to carry signals to your brain. You may notice an increase in numbness and a decrease in your pain, but this is not a good thing. When this happens, it is a sign that the nerves are dying and a good majority of the nerve fibers have disintegrated. At this point, the large nerve fibers are beginning to become irreversible damage. In this stage, it is likely that your balance is affected, and it may become difficult to walk and keep your balance. In the fourth stage of neuropathy, your nerve damage is permanent, and much of the numbness will be that's the same word a minute ago, and I still can't say it. Irreversible. At this stage, it is urgent to seek treatment in order to prevent worsening numbness that cannot be reversed. In the fourth stage, there is still a chance for improvement, but it may be very slight. And for me, I think at that point it was too late. Here's stage 5, complete loss of feeling. This is the final stage of neuropathy, and it is where you've lost any and all feeling in your lower legs and feet. You did not feel any pain, just intense numbness. This is because there are no nerves that are able to send signals to your brain. At this stage, walking has become very difficult and your balance is severely affected. You may become so unsteady that you have to use a wheelchair. It is absolutely necessary that you seek immediate medical attention if you reach this stage of neuropathy. and are experiencing a complete loss of feelings in your lower extremities. In stage 5, your nerves are permanently damaged, but it may be possible to regenerate some of your nerve fibers. Yeah, I'll stick to what it says here, but I don't think so. So when it comes to peripheral neuropathy, the most commonly affected areas are the hands and feet, but symptoms may be felt in many other areas such as the back of your legs and face. And again, if you're experiencing any of these symptoms, get a hold of your doctor, and he'll get you going to a neurologist, hopefully someone that can help you and diagnose what's going on with you in your body. So this article starts right out from the beginning, saying peripheral neuropathy is rarely fatal, but may cause serious complications if left untreated. Now, they say that left untreated. Well, if that's the case, how come I'm not being given anything that's going to treat the issues I have? To me, it's because it's too late. I'm already at stage 5. There's nothing they can give me that's going to control or fix the issues and problems I have. So the only thing they can do for me is to give me pain meds to get through the day as much as possible. And the article goes on to say these complications may affect the person's life or how long, they're going to live. But the healthcare professional can advise their condition, their outlook, and how they can manage it. Well, I have one more piece of information I do want to give you here. It's one more website, and it's also on the life of someone with diabetic neuropathy and how long they're going to live. Diabetic neuropathy may lead to silent myocardial infarction, which has to do with the valves of your heart, which is a condition of the heart. This can lead to the death of almost 25% to 50% of the people suffering from diabetic neuropathy within a period as short as 5 to 10 years. So with me, though, it says 5 to 10 years. I've had neuropathy for 19 years. So, that just broke the mold right there. I think it really depends on how your body's handling the neuropathy in regards to your diabetes and other health issues you might have. Then maybe your numbers, go up or go down from there. So that's all I can suggest. I'm not a doctor, but that's what I'm thinking is taking place. But with me, I'm such a hypochondriac that every time I feel just something, messing with my body, I always go to the doctor and have it checked out by a X-ray or CT scan, CAT scan. So, that's just me. But according to some studies, almost 2/3 of the diabetic neuropathy all over suffer from diabetic neuropathy. Of all the people suffering from diabetes of different types, insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, secondary diabetes, anyone can develop diabetic neuropathy. The longer the person is suffering from diabetes, the higher are all the chances of developing diabetic neuropathy. And that was what happened with me. Nobody could figure out what was wrong with me until I had a test done, but it was already too late. My nerves were kind of destroyed. So, but here's a prognosis for diabetic neuropathy. The prognosis for diabetic neuropathy usually depends upon how properly diabetes is managed. And that with me, with my diabetes that I had, because I can actually say I had, I properly managed it, and a lot of it was to do with what I eat and those kind of things, and sodas and that kind of stuff. I'm not going to say that I don't still drink sodas, but I only have maybe one a day, and these are cans. I used to drink 64 ounces, so it got really crazy back in the day. But yeah, I've controlled my my diabetes. I haven't had to take any more medications for it because everything's right at the right glucose levels. So I feel real good about that. And however, the recovery may be quite slow. Now, I don't know how to pronounce this, and I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's called Charcot Charcot, Charcot. So Charcot joints and foot ulcerations are one of the most serious complications of diabetic neuropathy. And I think I've said this quite often, that you really need to check your feet all the time, because sometimes you could step on a rock or a pin and not know it, because, all of us are numb down there. So you always should have yourself or have someone check your feet, make sure there's no cuts or anything going on. And these are one of the most serious complications, so you need to remember that. Those suffering from autonomic neuropathy may be at an increased risk of sudden death due to silent myocardial infarction, a condition of the heart. Keeping blood glucose, God, I just can't talk. Keeping blood glucose, blood pressure, and lipids levels under control is the key to delaying the onset and slowing down the progression of diabetic neuropathy. There are 4 primary types of diabetic neuropathy, which all of you should know. You may be suffering from any one or more types of diabetic neuropathy. The symptoms will depend upon which type of neuropathy you suffer from. Generally, no signs or symptoms are seen in the beginning. Symptoms are generally visible or experienced when the diabetic neuropathy has progressed too far and caused significant nerve damage. Let me just name off the 4 real quick. There's peripheral neuropathy, which is the one I have. There's autonomic neuropathy. There's mononeuropathy. So the causes of diabetic neuropathy, different types of diabetic neuropathy have different factors. However, in general, researchers believe that if diabetes goes uncontrolled over a period of time, the blood sugars start damaging the nerves, leading to diabetic neuropathy. The increased blood sugar also damages the capillaries, which are tiny blood vessels that supply the nerves with nutrients and oxygen. Also, there are some other factors that may cause nerve damage, and those are inflammation of the nerves, genetic reasons, or abuse of alcohol or smoking. But also I've heard of, what is it called? The thing is, with the blood transfusions, or if you had cancer and you're just getting over it because you go through the chemo and everything. That's another thing that I believe that causes it also. There are some risk factors which increase your risk of developing this condition, and the factors comprise of uncontrolled blood sugar levels, duration of diabetes, kidney problems due to diabetes, being obese or overweight, and smoking. So here's some complications of diabetic neuropathy. Diabetic neuropathy can lead to a host of serious complications, which may include losing a toe, foot, or leg, damaging the joints or developing that one word, Charcot joints, bladder dysfunction or bladder-related problems, inability to know hypoglycemia, blood pressure disturbances, digestive symptoms, problems, sexual dysfunction in both men and women, and temperature regulation problems, too much or too little sweating. So in conclusion, almost 25 to 50% of people with diabetic neuropathy may die a sudden death by a result of silent myocardial infarction, a fatal condition of the heart. This may happen in a short time as 5 to 10 years. Almost 2/3 of the people suffering from diabetes develop diabetic neuropathy. The progress of this condition may be slowed down with proper management. The prognosis of diabetic neuropathy usually depends on how fine the blood glucose levels are controlled. So, I really, just by reading these things to you, I've learned something too, that I don't think that there's really, if you just have diabetic neuropathy, there's really that much of a concern about your life and how long it's going to last. I think you have to have another related issue with yourself. If that's the case, that's how they come up with these numbers. But, like I do, and like I've told you just a few minutes ago, is that anytime I want or I get a situation where I feel my body's doing something that it shouldn't be doing, that's when I go to the doctor. You can go to the doctor and they may have to do some independent tests or have to give you some medication first before they can make that decision for a CT scan or MRI, but that's fine. But you can demand and tell your doctor you want this done. So don't be afraid to just tell him. And that's one thing I don't do. I just make sure that he's aware of what else is going on with my body and I need help. And, I need you to either set up that x-ray or whatever it takes and let's move on from there. Because if I know there's nothing else wrong, then I'm fine. And I don't get a lot anxious about that. But like I've said, please don't take this for what it is. Everything I've read to you, these are, opinions, I guess, that others have that are writing these articles. And they may have seen this happening. I don't know. But if you want to find out the information more for yourself, do your Google search. And if that doesn't work, talk to your doctor. That's the most important thing. That is the most important thing. And I won't stop saying that. Talk to your doctor always before you do any changes or want to know something so he knows or she knows. So they can help you out. But thank you again, all of you that listen to my podcast. I really appreciate it. If you have the time to support my podcast, it would be great. I have a affiliate page on Pinterest where it shows most of all the affiliates I have to choose from. And if there's something you like there, take a look at it and see. There's a lot of good companies that I have. So if you get that chance and opportunity, see if there's something you want to buy. But again, thank you very much for your time. And I will talk to you next Monday. Bye. As we come to a close, it's my hope this podcast and other sources, such as product reviews that I have discussed today, can better our lives and give us some relief dealing with neuropathy. This episode plus others are posted every Monday on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher. And finally, whatever life throws at you, even if it hurts you, just be strong and fight through it. Remember, strong walls shake, but never collapse. Talk to you next Monday.